Good evening, guys. I want to talk about a good topic right quick. It's a nice June evening, not too hot. It's a really nice, serene, calm evening. Um, I want to talk about being too nice because, you know, I've had people throughout my life, you know, tell me that I was too nice. And I felt this would be a good topic to talk about. Um, they say if a lot of people have told you something, then more than likely there is some truth to it. Um, I do believe in my life I've been too nice when it comes to people. But you know what? I believe it all starts with how you're being raised. See, and I know a lot of you guys may be able to agree with this. Being raised all religious and being raised in the church, you know, that grooms you to be a certain way. And I can honestly admit that growing up in the church, it groomed me to be a certain way. It groomed me to be very nice and be very forgiving and be very, very humble. That's what that religion does to you. And I'm sure you guys who was raised in the church can definitely agree. Um, I know for a fact in the past in my life, I've definitely been too nice to people. And, I don't necessarily fault myself for it. I blame, it's mainly how I was being raised, you know, it's mainly how you're being raised and, your parents and your upbringing. And that's why I always state to you guys that, if I had kids of my own, one thing I wouldn't do if I had children, I wouldn't raise my kids the way that I was brought up. And a lot of you guys that was raised in the church, I'm sure you guys can relate, you know I grew up going to church all the time, indoctrinated with this religion and stuff. And, I used to really believe that being a man of Jesus and being a man of God was going to get you some reward in this life. But I was so wrong. And, you know, I do believe that you have to have a backbone and you can't let people run over you. But see, being raised and indoctrinated with all that religion, it grooms you to be too nice. And I had to realize that in the past in my life, I have definitely been too nice in my life. And I'm sure a lot of people have. But see, it goes back to how you're being raised. And this is why it's very important for fathers to be in boys' life. Mothers, they try to raise these boys, but a mother can't raise a boy to be a man. They just can't. And, uh, I, you know, I tell myself all the time, there's nothing wrong with being cordial to people, but you don't want to be a pushover neither. I always tell myself that. And as a man, you got to stand your ground as a man, you know, because, I've always, I know women don't want a nice man because one thing, and it's really sick and sadistic, but I know women, they associate a nice man with weakness. And I think that that's sad, but they do. Women definitely don't want a nice man. And this is why, you know, I feel that religion, it just groomed you to be a chump. That's why if I was a father, I wouldn't take my kid to church because that stuff, it grooms you to be this nice, kind person. And, in the real world, you can't be a man of Jesus. You just can't. And I know I've stated that before, but it's so true. And I always have to remind myself of that. In this real world, this world here is cutthroat. And you got to have some meanness in you in this world. And that's what I remind myself, like, you don't have to be a dick, but don't be no pushover neither. That's what I always tell myself. Don't allow people to run over you and disrespect you and take advantage of you. That's what I had to learn, you know. Because when people see that you have a real nice, kind spirit, they definitely will try to take advantage of you. And I've been there in my life. I've been in, situations where I've gotten done wrong by folks, and that comes from being too nice, you know, and that's why I have to remind myself, you know, in this world, you can't be too nice. You got to have an edge to you. You got to have some meanness in you, because if you go out here in this world trying to be a man of Jesus and being all nice, you're going to get ran over. You're going to get ate up by the wolves. And that's what I have to remind myself constantly. And, I don't beat myself up for being too nice. I can admit that I'm too nice of a person. It all goes back to how people are being raised. Your upbringing plays a big role in your life, in the type of person that you become. Upbringing matters a whole lot. It really does. And when you're raised a certain way, you can't help but be the way that you are. This is why I feel fathers are so important, especially for boys. Fathers definitely need to be in the house when it comes to these boys, because there is a certain edge that you have to have about yourself as a man. And, you know, and that's what I have to tell myself. You have to have boundaries. You can't be too nice to people. You can't be too friendly. You can be cordial to people, but you can be cordial, but I don't believe in being overly friendly, because being overly friendly, that's gotten me taken advantage of in my life. And I believe that's a big reason to why, I've been done wrong a lot in my life, because I've been too nice. You can't be too nice in this world. If I had a son especially, I would definitely teach him, don't go through life trying to be no nice guy. You don't have to be a dick or nothing, but you have to have an edge as a man, and you can't allow people to run over you. And that's what I had to learn. But see, this is where fathers come into play. And this is one of the main reasons why boys especially need to be raised by men. Because a father, if you're being raised by a man, a father's going to teach you these things. So you're going to already know these things. I understand. I see why it's so important for boys to be raised by men. Because being raised by women and being raised all in that church, it just grooms you to be a chump, and you going out into this world, trying to be a man of Jesus, you're going to get ate alive. You're going to be eaten alive in this world. But that's been my piece for this Monday evening. Let me know what you guys think about being too nice, because I'm sure a lot of guys can relate to being too nice to people. I know I'm not the only one. But you guys have a good evening, and I'll be talking to you soon. Have a good one now. Peace out.